Just in time. Just in time. No, you got like, it's not 4 yet.
I'll make her.
Call the meeting to order. I want to acknowledge that we are on the unceded traditional territory of the Upper Smokeman Indian Band. Adoption of the agenda.
Make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Councillor Gould, seconder. Councillor Willis. Any additions? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. No minutes, petitions, and delegations. Jackie, you can come up to the podium.
Thank you for letting me speak with you today. Can I take this off?
Then we can hear you.
So, I've lived in Princeton for all of my life. I have owned property here for 34 years, and I've owned auto tac for 13 years. During the fire, I donated hats to local logging companies. I donated over $2,000 in winter coats and toques to Tulameen flood people. I made stickers. I took donations and donated $400 to the food bank. I donated banners to the Crimson Tide players after Mayor Spencer Coyne requested that they make it a free play to the community. I donated a stove and a dishwasher to flood victim. I donated clothing to flood victim, and I adopted 2 families at Christmas time. I've given back to the community on a regular basis. I highly doubt that wherever you are purchasing your clothing and signs from has done that. I'm just going to start with the letter that I received from CAO Lyle Thomas on January 14th. I want to start with the taxpayers' dollars. I'm not an unreasonable person. I know that sometimes you need to shop beyond our local community to save money and to find products that are not available here. Having said that, though, how do you know that you're saving taxpayers' dollars when you don't even get a quote? Dollars that are spent in our community stay in the community. Dollars that are spent out of the community don't come back. An example of this is when I moved my stores to the new location. I purchased everything I needed here: paint, plywood, floor stain from Ace Hardware. And in return, Susan purchased hats and shirts from me. And again, that's spending locally, keeping the money in the community. I want to move on to the amount of money that's been spent at my store. So yes, in the last 3 years, you have spent a substantial amount of money with me. What most of you are not aware of is what I had to go through to get that. First of all, I'm going to read you a letter that I wrote to Jamie Ampleby on January 8th of 2019. Hi, Jamie. I had some signs dropped off for you from Valley Traffic by accident, I guess. Just so you know, I deal with Valley Traffic as well, so I stock sign blanks from them if you're in need of anything. He then came to my store to pick up the signs. I explained again, I am a retailer for Valley Traffic. Then he forgot his signs, and I had to deliver them anyway. Then, on April 8th, 2019, I saw this picture in the spotlight. So, since I had not been offered to quote on these new street signs, I sent a text to Councillor Randy McLean asking if he knew where they were buying them from. He replied he did not, and that I should contact Gary Schatz or Jamie Ampleby. So I wrote a letter to them on April 8th. Hello, Gary and Jamie. I see that you're going to be spending $7,000 on changing the street signs. I was the business that supplied most of the signage around town for the visitor center, town hall, parks, pool, arena, etc. I'm wondering where the signs are being bought from, and sure hope that this money is being spent locally, since the one thing is that this is a lot of money for a small business. But also, there are 2 sign shops in town. I've not been asked for a quote on these, so I sure hope that the Image Emporium is getting the business. I've explained to Jamie that I can supply pretty much any type of signage you might need. So I would very much look forward to working with you on this project. If not, I mainly just would like to see the money kept locally. Gary replied he wasn't sure, and Jamie would know. The next day, Jamie replied to the letter stating, the signs we are proposing to purchase are aluminum blanks with the diamond grade engineer reflective coating. The samples I have had prepared by Valley Traffic. If you want to give us a price and prepare a sample to us to look at, you may want to look at the one I have, as this is a standard we'll be looking for. So I came down to Town Hall and met with him to see the sample. I then reminded him that I was a retailer for Valley Traffic, which then I asked why the money was not being spent locally. And he replied that I couldn't compete. I stated that I would rather see $2 stay in our community than be spent out of town. He proceeded to laugh and walked into his office and closed the door. I then walked to CAO Lyle Thomas's office and asked if I could have a word. Lyle was very nice about it, and I proceeded to explain what had happened. Lyle wasn't sure why they weren't getting a quote from me, but explained that he really didn't have much to do with that. Later that day, I called Valley Traffic and talked to my rep, Kelly Shannon, and explained what was going on and how the town had put it in the paper that they were going to spend $3,100 annually for 3 years on street signs. She replied that she had not even given them a quote, and then explained that if they were going to order these signs, they would have to order them from me, as I'm the local retailer for them. She was going to block them from ordering anything directly, and she was going to contact Jamie to let him know. 3 or 4 days later, Kelly called me and asked what did Jamie think he was trying to do. He had called Jaffa Signs in Penticton, trying to get the signs from them. So at that point, she was going to call Jamie again and tell him that he could not order them from there. He had to get them through me. Then, Jim Daly proceeded to order the signs from me. If I had not gone to these lengths, I did, and had Kelly on my side, I wouldn't have even been asked for a quote for those signs. And I wouldn't have been able to do the ICBC audit signs either. So yes, you have spent a substantial amount of money with me, but only because I had to fight for it. Then, after all of that, Kelly never told me that the freight charges weren't included in the pricing that she told me to quote. And then the following year, they put the prices up. So as a result, I made very little money off that. Now, there's mention of the fact that I have shortened my work week and hours. So during COVID, all essential businesses were closed. I was closed for 5 weeks. However, I was not open, but I was still coming in to do work. And I had also contacted Gary about decaling the town vehicles at that time, since we've been working on this for several months trying to figure out what he wanted on the vehicles. And since I was closed, I had time to do them. So The last letter that I received from Gary said, "I haven't decided yet. We probably won't do anything with them until we are through with COVID." And the next thing I knew, I was driving through town and seeing town trucks with brand new decals on. And I was never contacted about this again. Then, in February of 2021, I was sick and supposed to go for surgery. And then my mom ended up in the hospital and my mother-in-law was diagnosed with cancer. So yeah, I did shorten my work week because I had a lot going on. But I'm sure that at that time I had put my cell phone number on the door and my answering machine so I could still be contacted. And I'm pretty sure that at some point, all of you have had to take time off work for stress, family issues, illness. I have been working my normal Monday to Thursday, 9 to 4, since May of 2021. And from September until January, I have been working Monday to Saturday. I'm not always open on Friday, but when I'm there, people just know my vehicle and they come in anyway, like Randy. During the flood, I had my mom was evacuated, my property in Colmont was flooded, plus I had no heat in my store for 5 days. But I was there every day, so if someone needed signs, I could have done them, but no one even called or emailed. I'm pretty sure that Randy, Tyler, and Mark McNaughton could vouch for the fact that I'm a hardworking person, since I served with them for many years on the posse board. My cell phone is on my answering machine and was posted on my door, and most orders are emailed anyway. But also Jim Daly has my cell phone number for a long time, as that's how he usually contacted me to order signs, etc. Until July of 2021, when I didn't receive any more orders for anything and no requests for quotes either, until the past 2 weeks. Copper Mountain Mine, Weyerhaeuser, many other businesses have had no issues contacting me, and there's been no complaints of time frame or short work weeks. Everything I do in my store is on a time frame. So absolutely, when someone says they need something right away, I get it done, unless there's a stock issue, which I'm pretty sure every business has had problems with since COVID began. Or, if it's stated that they're in no hurry, then I put it to the back, as I have orders that need to be processed quickly, especially when dealing with so much industry in this town. An example is in June, Jim Daly ordered water restriction signs. He came in the morning, placed the order, picked them up before 3 o'clock that afternoon. Now, I have heard a statement from a special meeting about my quality of work. Apparently, there was a spelling error on a street sign, Vermilion Avenue. First of all, this has never been brought to my attention. Second of all, I have the orders right here on 2 different years with them spelling Vermilion with 2 L's. So, I also have an email where I had asked Jim if the street signs were all correct and if he was satisfied. He replied, everything was great. If there's going to be a criticism about the spelling of Vermilion Avenue, I would like to know who ordered and approved this sign. Four out of 10 streets are spelled incorrectly, and one is missing completely. I've not sure who is complaining about the spelling of Vermilion, if they're aware, but the street used to be spelled with 2 L's. Some organizations still spell it that way. And since the order was brought to me this way, I never questioned it, and I sent a proof as well that was also approved. I am human. I do make mistakes. But I've always fixed or replaced anything that I made a mistake on. This was not my mistake, but also no one ever brought it to my attention. So to make a statement that my quality of work is not good means many different things. Quality of product, quality of customer service, quality of work in general. This is a very damaging statement. I've always been upfront and honest. If I was not capable of doing a job or did not have the equipment or the know-how to do a job. I'm not stating that this municipality has not supported me. What I am stating is that there are a lot of dollars being spent out of town on jobs that I've done in the past, and I've been told that there were statements made that I was not able to do these jobs. I did them before. Why couldn't I have been given a chance again? And the fact that I never even got to quote on them. I've not stated that the town doesn't support me, but when I'm asked if I've done a specific job that I have not, I do say I didn't do that job, such as the customer wanting hats and hoodies they purchased from the visitor center, or the campground or airport signs that people assumed I had done. We live in a great community. I love this community. I will keep doing what I can to support this community, and I do shop local. And if I can't supply something for someone, and I know it can be done at another local business, I always send customers there. And you should be giving your local businesses a chance first before ever looking outside the community. Because without the support, we will continue to lose businesses, as we have seen in the past few months, with 7 businesses closing. With the flood and COVID, I would think you would want to support as much local as you can to help keep local businesses afloat, since you have shop local on your electronic sign. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak, and I hope that this sheds some light.
Thank you.
Since it's a delegation, if anybody has a question, they can, but normally it's just a presentation. But if you have any questions, you can.
Do you have any questions, Jackie? You're like just, because for me, I'll be upfront I had those discussions because it was a public meeting. It just unfortunately wasn't recorded to have that, and I wanted to ensure that she knew the reasons what were given to us as council as to why the business wasn't solely there. And it was never my intention to change our purchasing policy to make it that we have to 100% shop local. I said that very clearly in that meeting as well. It was just that it would be nice if the businesses were thought of first, like if they were given the opportunity. If you can't do it, you've always been upfront and honest and say, I can't do it. It's just, that's all I was asking, is that they be given the chance.
Okay. Any other comments? Councilor McLean has a comment.
Just the only part of what was read there is we don't have a choice, local or not local. We have to get the best value for a taxpayer's dollar that we can get. That doesn't mean we don't shop local, we don't try and do as much as we can and everything else. The bottom line is the dollar. We try to get a dollar can out of every dollar. So if that requires going out of town, because what confuses me sometimes is when we have people bid on things, and not, particularly not anything like Jackie, but other ones, we'll get bids, and people from out of town will outbid people from town. And I can't understand it. They don't have to pay, town doesn't have to pay travel or anything else. When we we would love to give it to the people in town, but you've gotta be able to compete. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, we don't have a choice for that. We have to get $1.10 out of every dollar.
But if you're not given a chance to quote, then how do you know that you're saving those dollars?
I never said that.
No, I'm just stating that you say that you have to shop out of town to get the best dollar, but if you're not getting a quote from a local
No,
business.
I never said that. I said we have to compare. We can't just shop locally.
No, and I understand that, and I did state that,
Okay,
Randy.
okay.
Taxpayers' dollars.
Okay, you guys, one at a time. George had a comment as well.
Yeah, I just
Or
wanted
Councillor Elliott.
to say, I relate to what you're talking about, Jackie, because my business also suffered from difficulty in retaining business from Town Hall as well. The only difference was that at that time I was allowed to make a quote, and my competitor undercut me considerably. It wasn't even close, and so I couldn't compete with that, and that was just the way it went. But, and when the year-long contract came for renewal, I was not approached to rebid. So I kind of understand what you're saying, but I
Yeah.
just want you to understand that I also see it from the other point that Randy, or Councillor McLean was saying, so I understand the importance of trying to get the best bang for your buck for the taxpayers. But you're right, I agree with you that at least the local should have at least a kick at the can.
Yeah, I mean, that's all I'm asking for.
Yeah.
Like I said, I completely understand that sometimes I can't compete with a big, huge company. They get their stock for way less. They don't pay for freight. You know, that all becomes a part of what my pricing is going to be. And Lyle and I have talked about this in the past. So I do understand that. But I'm just asking for a chance, that's all. Just, you know, and any local business should be given a chance to quote, I think. It's just my own opinion, but like I said, I'm not unreasonable about this. I've lived here my whole life. I understand that sometimes you gotta go out of town to save a buck, whether it's buying a couch or a TV or a sign. I get it. But there still should be that option.
Definitely.
So,
Thank you.
anyway.
Okay. Thank you, Jackie.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, with moving on. Sorry. Moving on. 6.1 is a staff report, UBCM Grant Application. I think that's Ed. Ed, your turn. Was there a name on the sheet? Okay. Ed, you're up for UBCM Grant Application to support ESS.
Thank you, Mayor Coyne. Thank you, councillors, for having me speak, staff and Valerie. The staff report requests council's approval to allow the regional district to manage, apply for, and take on the use of the full funding on behalf of the town for emergency support services. And this has been supported by council in the past. There's been big headway with agency cooperation. So during the flood of this year, there were 5 other municipalities and ESS groups that supported our evacuation and the evacuation of Coalmont, Tulameen, and other locations within the valley. And that was largely done because we work remotely on a provincial program, and once registered, self-registered, the callback to that individual can be done from anywhere. So there's a bit of a call center waiting area, and those calls can be answered by anyone in the ESS team throughout the regional district. This funding will go towards further support of computers, printers, training, and other items like that, and it will be no cost to the town and managed by the regional district as it has been done in the past.
Any questions? So the regional district, we did just pass that this afternoon. So the regional district's done their part. There'd be a focus on the IT part. The regional district's going to throw their IT department at this and stuff too. So it's a really good thing for all of us as a joint operation standpoint. Councilor McLean? Thank you. Councilor McLean moves the staff recommendation. Councilor Willis, any questions on the motion? All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you on behalf of the ESS team for Princeton.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Goes to 6.2 grant and aids. Director of Finance.
You need blinded. Scooch.
I'm always blinded. We need that one fixed. We need another one over here so I can see. We need a TV or something over here so I can see what's on there.
Maybe you can just introduce what you got.
Thank you, Mayor Coyne. Again, it is the time of year where we ask council to make a decision on annual grant and aid allocations. As of today, we have received applications from 6 nonprofit organizations, which are listed in your agenda package and listed on the projector behind you. There's one from the Princeton Pickleball Association for nets, court cleaning rollers, and insurance. One from the Princeton Lacrosse Association for capital equipment. One from Princeton Mixed Slow Pitch for Memorial Park field upgrades. One from the Princeton Sled Dog Association is a general revenue source. One from a group called the Vermilion Arts Collective for a music festival they have planned for June. And one from the Halloween Family Fun Night, which is their annual fireworks show plus Halloween.
Just before we move on, Jane, I thought we were putting the family fun night, the fireworks on as a line item.
I didn't have that, but that can be something that council can do. We haven't passed the budget yet, so we can add that
Something that we could done
as a line item to the recreation budget at this point. That would be fine. So that would reduce their need to write one annually. So the amounts, and sorry, I cut that off on the screen. I'll just put that back quickly. One moment. So the total grant and aid requests that are listed on that presentation is $40,850. There's a total budget within the 2022 provisional municipal budget for $25,000. That amount has been reduced. There was a nonprofit society that got in a permissive tax exemption late. So we also propose, as part of the grant and aid program, to grant the Princeton Family Services Society a grant and aid equivalent to their annual property tax. So their property tax would be zero for the upcoming taxation year until we can get them on the permissive tax exemption roll. So the amount listed is an estimate as per the completed roll from BC Assessment, which puts that number down to $17,746. So at this time, we ask council for a resolution based on how they want to allocate the grant and aid funds. We can, because the budget is on a provisional basis at this point, it's at second reading. We can supplement the grant and aid budget so that we can resume that to $25,000 at council's discretion. However, council wishes to allocate that is up to them. If you want to redirect staff to find extra funding for this or leave it at the $17,746, I'll leave that up to you. Unfortunately, I have a direct conflict with one of these grants, so I'll be recusing myself from this discussion. But I will leave it up to council, and when the motion is passed, I shall return.
Okay, just before.
Are there any administrative questions that I can answer before we start?
If we move the 5,000 from here for the Halloween into recreation, does that put 5,000 back on the table for this?
Correct. Yeah. I would find existing funding within the recreation budget for that.
Okay.
Did you have a question, James?
Are you aware of the one from the, slow pitch?
Yep.
Slow pitch, whether, it says Memorial Park upgrade, is that, do you know what that is?
Yeah, it does list it in the application. It's netting, it's upgrades to the field itself for a different kind of sod in the infield.
Yeah, I asked him to come because I didn't understand that.
My big butt in the way, he is here.
So, I think that's all we're gonna have for you right now, James, so if you
Yeah,
wanna
okay.
book out of here.
Are there any other administrative questions I need to answer before I go, or?
Can you answer one thing on the lacrosse?
I wouldn't want to.
No.
There's no other groups
Oh,
here to
yeah,
do that,
that's
so,
No,
yeah, I'll let the application stand in the zone
Okay.
as part of the conflict.
yeah, cause that would be a conflict.
Are there
So-
any administrative questions I can answer based on the budget? Okay, if there's anything else, I'll be outside of the room. I can come back in and answer any questions that are necessary
Go mess Gary's
for the
desk up.
administrative side. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
So I got, since you brought up the slow pitch, let's start with that one. A number of these upgrades are, I believe, municipal upgrades, not so much slow pitches, so,
That's where my question is.
Yeah, I would think that probably some could be maintenance items that we move.
like the concession, we're already looking at, the equipment, storage room, that's underneath the bleachers, is it not? So that would be capital, fencing repairs, that's another capital expense.
Yeah, well, even just maintenance.
Or maintenance, and then what about the nets, would that be something the town owns, or is that something minor, or
I
the ball
think
would?
the town owns those, and I think what Gary is looking for is an expansion of the netting, so it'd be a
Yeah.
purchase of new netting.
Okay, but would we ask them to buy that, or would we,
I think that's something we would do.
Okay.
You know, normally the recreation department or the public works, I should say, would be after that.
and then,
In consultation with the group.
yeah, the bases, you guys own the bases? Yeah, yeah, it's part of the, the bases, you guys own the bases?
Yes, and the chalk machines and
Okay, so,
what have you, which they will still last. Probably more than anything, we would like to be able to give the communities a free year at baseball. So we would cover the user fees and the insurance would be part of it.
so,
The netting, probably as you all saw, like a couple years ago, it was all laying on the ground. It's just sun dry rotted, it's
yeah,
toast.
okay,
Everything that we put in, like our wish list, some of it would be from the either province or what have you. Because there would be quite a cost at it. I'm looking up there, so it shows for us applying for 10,000 now. I was under the understanding it was gonna be 3 different applications
Over three.
over a 4-year period.
that's what I thought too.
And so it wouldn't be, it would be the 10,000 divided by 3. So that would allow another 60 some odd $100 towards another organization.
Okay, so your, your insurance, what does that cost you a year?
It looks like, well, last year we were able to get town insurance and it was $200.
Yeah, we don't know if we have that yet this year.
No,
And
so
it's
that
more.
would be, that's our first choice.
Okay,
We do have a backup, which is, they're offering for $100 a team, which is
oh,
fine. We just want to get people out.
okay, so how many teams do you have? Or
Right
how
now, we
many are
have
you
6
trying?
confirmed.
Six.
Good.
Okay,
There used to be 32 teams in this town at one time, back when the ladies.
so this is,
Yeah, look away, Barb, look away.
so this is just, recreational ball, right? Not, you guys aren't part of minor ball or anything, are you?
We're taking minor ball under our wing because any field upgrades would obviously be in benefit for minor ball.
Okay,
And we're gonna have our registration open to minor ball as well and help like kinda join executives, I guess,
Okay.
because it
So you
hasn't
have
been.
enough people to do things and stuff, right?
Yeah, and we do have enough people who are interested to get things rolling. Obviously, it's not gonna be a stellar year for attendance and what have you, but as long as we get it going,
Okay.
get people out again. Last year, by the time we were able to get insurance, it was already 50 degrees outside in the middle of June. Well,
Yeah,
nobody wanted to play then.
yeah.
How much is how much are the bases?
I think the magnetic bases, I think we're around, now this is probably 10 years ago, but they were about $600 for a set.
$3 grand now. Right.
Probably, honestly,
Let's hope not.
yeah.
Okay.
Now, the other thing is too, we wanted to make very clear that from the last time we met, obviously a lot of stuff has happened.
Yeah.
So if that money needs to go somewhere who really needs it or whatever, that's fine with us. We'll survive. We'll play no matter what.
Okay.
And then as far as the concession goes, it's not really like much of a priority this year because now there's a new food truck coming to town. And so we can get them to come to the games and what have you, because obviously the concession stand is gonna be,
Well, we've budgeted a roof, but now we're looking at it and wondering if maybe it should just be a new building, because the amount
Yeah.
of money it's gonna cost for a roof. So we are exploring all our
should
options.
probably have an inspector look at the core, the bones. Because it is a cinder block building, so it should be, I mean, at one time when there was 32 teams, the place was
Yeah.
going all the time. As of right now, for 6 teams, we can get the food truck to come by if, you know, if there's a tournament or something like that. Basically, what we're trying to do is get people to, you know, drag their families out, not necessarily drag, but they can come down, they can have, you know, feed the kids at the ball game and kind of get things going, and like when all you guys were young, Tyler.
Me.
Does anybody have a question for Gary? I think we've got I have some questions of Lyle, and then we can,
I have more for left.
so, okay, thanks, Gary.
Hey, thank you.
So the questions I have for you, Lyle, besides like the netting, fencing, equipment, storage room, concession, and then the upkeep of the outfields, and that should be all of our jobs. What do we, where was it? Oh yeah, the infields upgrades to fields 2 and 3. I remember you were talking about moving is it you're moving the infield back, is it? Or up?
Yes.
Back.
So before where say first and third bases, the infield would be expanded, I think about another 2 feet to match
Okay.
field 1.
So we're going to- Okay.
And then I know Jim Daly and Leonard Liberatore, they worked on the fields before, and I've talked to them about the fields and what have you, and they're willing to put it to where it needs to be, should we get to there.
That would be a staff thing, would it not? Yeah, so that's another thing. Okay.
Yeah, we did purchase some infield material, and we did work on it a little while ago, but I definitely agree that the grass is a little too close to the bases there, and people running through first base and stuff, so.
And the weeds are
There's
really
more weeds
bad.
than grass, I think, yeah.
So most of what's on your list is our responsibility.
Are you trying to read my writing by chance?
It's so, and they
I know,
photocopied it
I know,
so
I know.
dull, I can barely read it.
And the lighting's not the greatest.
I'm a little technically challenged when it comes to that.
Perfect, I think that's all we got for you, Gary. So
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
CAO, the user fees, would we be able to do those as an in-kind this year?
Council definitely could do that.
Because there's not a lot in
No,
fees,
no.
right? I'm just thinking if we're gonna grant the money and then turn around and take it back, why not just?
Well, that's fine, however you guys, wanna divvy it up, or that's fine with us. We don't mind, giving part of the grant back to cover the user fees, or
Well, it's just
there is the,
one hand feeding the other, so I'd rather just do in kind if we can, if council agrees to that.
Sure.
So,
sure, yeah, anything works. Thank you.
perfect, thanks.
I think the only thing we want to make sure is that they do have their own insurance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, and that's where I'm leaning, like,
And that's expensive on their own.
what's about $1,000, and then $1,000 for the bases roughly, so, if we break that up amongst what he was talking to 5 years, it's $2,000. Keep that at the $2,000 mark, and then most of the rest, almost everything else on here, except for bases, baseballs, and insurance, are something that our public works guys should be working on, so I don't see needing to spend more than $2,000.
And we talked about the nets, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so,
So all these things on those lists, I'll have a discussion with Public Works and see if we can put that into the work schedule.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in, we discussed it in the budget already. I do have a question for them. So that recreation study for Memorial Park, it's 50,000 is what we've budgeted for it. What will that look like? Like, what will that,
I think we were trying to come
Entail.
up with a bit of a concept and like a plan, a strategy and a concept of what that whole area would look like. Now,
Okay.
that was pre-flood.
yes?
So, I guess part of the study would be the, the flooding event and what it did and where it went and what that might mean for new planning for that area. So, anything we would do in the floodplain area, which is lower field, let's say, we definitely don't want to put infrastructure in there that would be susceptible to damage,
Right.
so.
Okay, so it wasn't about moving any of the fields or relocating any of them or anything
no,
like that?
but
Okay, good. Because I would
if
hate to
we-
put money into it, just to
But
turn
if
around.
we end up having to move well 1 and 2,
Yeah,
then there could be some damage to the main field, would there not? Or can we get scoot around that? Is there enough room?
yeah,
The outfield might-
it does, it brings into play the washrooms, like that, where the washrooms are would be a perfect location for relocation of wells 1 and 2. So that means, what are we gonna do with the washrooms? What are we gonna do with the concession? Maybe we need to construct or look at something that's brand new that does concession and washrooms together. So this is what this study would look at and kind of look at all these options and try and come up with a recommendation to council of what would be the most efficient and best way for council.
So
to
that
proceed.
50,000 will incorporate all
Yeah.
that too. Perfect, thank you.
when will that be started? Have we talked to anybody about it?
So we've got,
Pass budget.
we've approved the grant application, and then, or we've approved the doing of the grant application. We're also looking at DFA funding for that, because what appears to have happened is the river has changed course underground, and that's what's causing issues. So that's part of the flood-related, that'd be considered flood-related. So if DFA will approve it, then we would probably go down the DFA route. We don't know what the timeline on that would be, turnaround, but either way, we're probably a few months at, well, probably summer before we hear anything.
Yeah, and on that $50,000 specifically on the planning part, we'd want to wait till the budget has been approved before we proceed with anything to make sure that we are committed.
So, yeah.
I'm wondering if we could deal with the lacrosse thing and we can get training back in there.
Yeah, we can. What's council's feeling on lacrosse?
Well, this is the first time I've seen the application, so I'm trying to see what they're asking for.
$10,000.
I see that, but what's their back,
Yeah,
what's
just-
their application?
Same thing
This
as
is the
last
first
year.
time I've seen it.
Yeah, just what you guys are looking it up, I don't have it in front of me here, but it's a new group starting up, and they're just looking for equipment and jerseys and whatever to get started, just to,
Goaltending equipment, jerseys,
Yeah.
balls, coaches and official certification fees, BC Lacrosse Association fees. And
And is there a breakdown on what those are, like what the certification fees are and everything?
if you go to page 20, expenses are there.
Didn't they have, isn't there nets there? Don't they have nets already, or do they just
Yes.
use the regular hockey nets?
no special nets, and they were able to purchase nets last year.
It is a little out of the ordinary, in my mind, that I'm thinking that when, if my child is going to start a sport, that I'm gonna have expected expenses for equipment and all that sort of thing. And I don't think I have a big problem with
It says
about,
25,000.
yes, he's got 25,000 total as his expenses for the year.
So that's equipment and everything, $25,000 for.
Yeah, it's like
And-
5,000 for goaltending equipment, 5 goalies is $1,000 each.
But I agree with you, Council McLean. If you're gonna sign up for hockey, you show up with your own equipment. You know, if you're gonna be a goalie, you have your goalie pads and everything. I don't have a problem with helping with a little bit of it, but I'd be pretty hard pressed to, you know, say, give all of it and then turn around and tell minor hockey, I know you guys all have to pay for your own stuff, but, we're gonna fund this completely, so, you know, I'd be okay with, you know, a couple $1,000s maybe, just to help with like league fees and stuff, just to get going for the year, but, Councilor Gould?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. How much do we charge the lacrosse association for use of the arena?
It's an hourly fee, but because there's no ice and no real expense, it's very low. I don't have the exact number, but it's like $10 an hour or something like that, so.
Because
And just to be
it
clear.
doesn't seem to be on here how much in their expenses they pay
Yeah.
for.
This is the same application as what was submitted last year as startup, and I think that we gave them a couple $1,000s last year.
For Jersey.
So they're just looking for a little extra help. Just for clarification, I think minor hockey does supply the goalie equipment for their goalies, just because it is expensive.
For their youngest players.
Yeah, for the younger players,
But
yeah.
everybody, I think just not, Adams, Novice?
I think up to novice they do,
Yeah.
So
but
the
it's
first
not
two.
that
And
anymore.
then after that, it becomes a personal thing, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they do have, the Prince Minor Hockey Association has purchased over time goalie equipment. So, and, because at that age, everybody's the
They're just
goalie,
trying
and
it
you
out,
hope your
yeah,
child doesn't
yeah.
like it.
I think it's just, it
So
might
that
just only be
they don't
Tykes.
become goalie.
Might only be Tykes. That they do that for.
Curtis did it in all.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Novice has this thing. You know, even like the registration, it's $2,700. I'm like, minor hockey all pays their own registration.
Yeah. Council McLean?
I would be willing to raise your,
Ooh, negotiations now.
I see. I raise you.
this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is a starting up entity. And whether it be considering anything in the future or whatever, I would think 5,000 to me would.
Remember, we only have 17,
Well, I'm
46.
just putting it on the table.
Split the difference, go 3?
35?
I'll do 35. What do you guys say?
13.
What do you think, George?
I'll support 35.
George says 35. Councilor Wills? I guess
Yeah,
the
you know,
league
I
fees and
think
what,
there's
goalie
a
equipment?
few things that we wouldn't mind paying for, and just to get this little help, I think, I'd be fine with 35.
35.
I have
Council Gould?
as a parent of children who have been in minor sports in this community, you pay for the service. If you want to reduce your costs for that, you fundraise. So, and I get that we do have the grant and aid for the purpose of seed money and for certain situations like that where the funding's needed to get it started. I can see that. We gave money last year to this group. I believe we did set a policy, was it for how many years? 3 years maximum
3 out of 4, yeah.
for receiving funding? So, and I'm also aware that there's other grants available that they can apply for, like gaming grants and stuff like that, that they can apply for those costs as well, so.
So do you have a counter offer?
I'm in the, how much have we given the swim club? 2,500,
25 a year, isn't
usually a year?
it? Yep.
But, you know, it's only, they have to ask. It's not that we're giving it to ones that haven't asked, so it's only the organizations that have come forward with a formal application as well, so.
And I will play devil's advocate, yeah. It's been hard to fundraise the last year. I know you've done it, but. But they only operated last summer, right?
Mhm.
So,
Maybe I'll offer my services and help them with a fundraiser.
They won't all have a bar of gold.
That's right.
So which,
I would say 2,500.
2,500. So we got 25 and we got 35 on the table.
I was at 5,000.
Well, that 25's half of your 5,000, so.
I sticking with 35, they knocked me down whatever it is. My 2 cents worth.
Why don't we leave it at those two and then see what the rest is gonna get and see what's left?
Okay, let's do that.
Cause we're doing 5,000, well, Halloween was out of it, right?
That's right.
We have to make a
Halloween
motion.
was put on as,
So we're
do
down
we need
to
a
30.
motion for that separate, Carrie?
I think so.
Could-
So can,
I would love to make that motion, that we move it to a line item permanently,
so let's do that.
to review annually with our budget.
Yeah,
Counselor
The
Gill.
Halloween.
I'll
is making-
second that.
Counselor or Elliot.
What are we putting on the line item?
The
That's
5,000
Halloween,
fireworks.
Fireworks thing? We
Which
talked
I thought
about
we-
it anyway.
Decided we were gonna do last.
We'll make an
time.
official motion and have it.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor of that? Carried, okay. So that'll go to recreation. And that frees up 5,000 over here. Ooh, you're getting closer. Okay, let's go to, pickleball.
Can we invite Jamie back in now?
For right now, I guess we can.
No,
So,
we're still negotiating.
okay, we're still negotiating that.
Let them wait.
We didn't vote on the lacrosse, but we can just leave it at that right now and have them leave afterwards. It's up to you guys.
I can do math.
Having the financial officer out of the thing when we're talking about all this money going.
That's right,
I kinda
that's right.
enjoy it. Cat in the hen house.
You just won't be able to talk about the lacrosse.
Okay, let's talk about pickleball.
What are they asking for?
They're asking for
Oh, 2,000.
2,000.
2,000.
Yeah.
I
And they're
feel,
total-
I
total
feel the
expenses
same.
like 13?
So I feel kind of the same way about pickleball as the other thing, like, you know, we just put up we just dedicated 25,000 if we get the court, or they get the grant for the court. The regional districts put up 50,000 as of today, and it's been approved to go to the next budget reading.
If
And
successful.
if successful, but still, like, this is to buy equipment for their sport, so. I know it's a rapidly growing sport, and they've got, how many members do they have?
I'm not sure on their numbers, but it's over 40.
So
What does it say in
wouldn't
here?
take
I'm sure
much
it says
for them
in here.
to fundraise
45.
$2,000 to buy the equipment.
Yeah.
And who bought the nets already?
The recreation department has purchased everything so far, like to get them started, and now they're wanting to expand, so.
So to speak on that a little bit more, if I may, they also have been using the same indoor net
Yeah,
for outdoor.
that's right.
So,
Yeah.
so ideally it would be nice if they were to be able, and they could only use
Yeah,
it either inside or outside. They can't
Yeah.
use it inside and
Do
outside.
we
No,
charge
that's right.
pickleball to use the facility?
only in the wintertime when they're using the indoor facility, outdoor is free. And you're right, Robert, the only reason why they use that is because it's portable, right? Like, there's, you know, the posts and everything are all part of the indoor net,
Yeah.
so,
So it still has to be portable.
They
And
never
if
play both at the same time,
right.
do they?
No, they don't, no.
they've wanted to, when they've had their paddle battles, they could use all 3 courts then.
Oh, okay.
So it's, and that's where they're trying to bring awareness to the sport. It is something that, like, well, if you're saying for minor ball and slow pitch, well, it's a facility that the town looks after, we'll take care of that. Well, it's a recreation facility as well, so. Right, so they're just a matter of, they have purchased some items. They did do a agreement with the high school, I believe it was, so school district for teaching, so that's gonna be, hopefully bringing more members as well, too. So,
School district would be helping fund this, then. How about $1,000? That gets them there.
Their expenses are only 1350, and then they made 6,800. I mean,
I'm having difficulty understanding.
like, there's not much expense.
well, we're
They're-
also asking them to build the facility. The municipality's asking,
We're asking them to put in a grant and we'll build the
right,
facility.
But we're asking them to get the money for it, so,
Please.
no, you know what I mean? We're asking them to raise the funds for it.
But the same thing with lacrosse and the same thing with the skateboard park and everything else. I mean, everybody had to do their part to build the facilities, right? So, and I,
Their money.
and I mean, it was the community that.
No, it's not there. This
It was
is
the
for,
community that came together and built the arena and the PXA as well, right? It was the mine and the mill and all those guys that came
That's right.
forward and helped pay for all that stuff. So, right now, you know, if we wanna buy nets, then maybe we should buy the nets, we own the nets. They're gonna be in our lock box and everything else, maybe that's the thing, and I just have a hard time putting 25,000 in a pot for them if it gets it, $50,000 from the regional district if they get it, plus we're gonna put a $50,000 study in place, and a big part of that is to find out where we're gonna put theirs, their facility
Antennas.
this year, plus another $2,000 on top of it. I'm
or
just
the
saying-
recreation department purchase
I
that's
mean,
a
if-
great idea. Because then it's a municipal, and the funding, the
But-
cost to use the services is still ran through the recreation department.
But I think if that's the case, then we do need to have a user fee to take out the nets so that the nets can be replaced, because there needs to be some sort of cost recovery on those nets, so that next time they need to be replaced,
Yep.
there's money in the pot for that purpose.
Yeah, I agree.
When you have a user group that uses the arena, they pay for the service, so.
Yep.
So. And then it becomes if they wanna look at it, doing it a grant and aid for their,
Who do they get their insurance through, you know?
I have no idea.
It's only $200 for the year.
I don't know if it's DC pickleball, I don't know, you'd have to ask them.
So what do you guys wanna do?
I'd go with some, but no.
Give them $500, it pays their insurance, we can help them for the year on that, and then pass it on to recreation to, buy, what do they want, 2 sets of nets? Is that for the outside, is that what the?
Well, right now, I think we have one net.
They use both, they use both courts.
Yeah, we had two originally, because we actually, when we did the clinics, we were going side by side, going the other way. It's
In
tight.
their- in their
In
art
the
theater.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there should be
So
two.
there should be two.
So
there,
why don't
but-
we buy one new set of nets, come up with a pricing scheme to help pay for the next set of nets,
Yeah.
and then, cause we buy the arena, like, at the arena, we
Yeah.
pay for the nets, right?
Yep.
So that's an expense on our part.
Yeah.
I have no problem paying for that. If we're gonna pay for netting at the, ball diamond, same thing, it's part of the facility.
All makes sense, yeah.
Let's.
Yeah.
So, 0, or do we wanna give them something?
Well, I see 6,800 and I see 1,300, and we're gonna pay for our netting and whatever.
Where do you see this?
That also allows them, if we own the netting, it also allows anybody who wants to play pickleball, who's not part of their association, to still use the facility. Because right now, everything runs through the facility, and what if somebody else wants to have their own pickleball game and they don't wanna go through them?
I think it's ran through the recreation department, is it not?
It's booked, when it's indoor, it's booked for sure, and it's just stored right there that anybody could use it. In the summertime, I think they have a lockbox outside,
There's a
I'm not
lockbox.
sure, but,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if everyone has access to that or not,
No, I think it's just them,
yeah.
because there's a key, there's a lock on it and everything. Okay, so why don't we send the nets to the recreation department, buy 1 set of nets this year, and then that's it.
What are do you know what the court cleaning rollers are?
If it's like tennis, it's like a squeegee, and it soaks up the moisture when it rains, but I'm not sure if that's exactly what they mean here.
Do we have them for the tennis courts
No.
or no?
No.
Because again, that could be a recreation,
Yeah,
it's
but,
owned by the town.
yeah. Okay, so 0, we buy net.
Just the nets? How much are the nets, Doug?
Yeah, I
It
think
says
that's,
$1,300 for 2. It's estimated at $1,300 for 2.
That's an upper level of what we provided before, so it's an improvement. I think they're looking for better quality, so.
yeah, because moving them is not good. on them,
Yeah.
moving them from outside to inside.
But they'd still have to be moved because it's a basketball court as well.
That's right, yeah.
So,
No, I know, but it's aging them.
yeah.
Direct blind nets.
Wears them down.
Yeah.
Okay. So knock them down to 0,
Refer to recreation.
refer the, should we do this all as individual motions, or should we do one
You
big?
didn't do one for, minor ball,
Okay,
or for slow pitch.
so we should just work on one big motion that we do all this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where are we on the map?
Oh, I don't know.
55.
I haven't gotten that far yet.
So if the figure for lacrosse is 35 and 2 for slow pitch, it's 55 that we've talked about. Now we're
So
on to
lacrosse.
sled dog,
Lacrosse, 35, you said?
if that's the
0.
settled number.
Slow pitch was 2. Okay, dog sleds. She's asking for $5,000. You know a bit about this one. I'll do
Well,
one.
she came in to see me, and I didn't see her application when she brought it to me. She didn't bring her application up, but what she expressed to me was that the area that she's working on is a sort of a multi-use area. We've given her an area up in the dunes there, and some of it is in the LR, and so we can't really do too much improvements to it, but it's become a bit of a popular area for tobogganing, dog walking, just walking in general, and of course now the dog sledders are up there and they do some grooming. And the issue that she expressed to me was the Dog Sled Association has put up a portable washroom up there, and they're paying for the service to have it there. And it's just getting a little bit much for them to cover the cost of that. So she was asking if the town could help out with that. When she met with me, I didn't know that she had other requests as well, so I didn't see all the requests. But it is a popular multi-use area.
And how many people do this? Do we know?
We have 63 members.
Yeah. People do come from other areas to train on our trails here.
So she's got $708.75, 4 months of porta potties. As expenses, insurance is $585, equipment's $364, advertising is $1,177, and gas is $300. So she's got like $3,136.25 in expenses, and they brought in $2,181.
She did express that with COVID and whatever, it's been a little difficult to do any kind of fundraising as well, so.
So I have questions about the porta potty being on up there, because it's not a
No.
actual porta potty, is it?
Yes, it is.
Oh, she
Yeah.
brought it up.
Yeah, so she started off with wanting to dig a pit toilet, and of course, we said, well, that's not gonna be approved. And so now she's gone to an actual porta potty that the local septic guy, he maintains.
So she's leasing that?
Yeah.
Do we have an agreement with her in writing that she could, that allows her to put in, you know, a porta potty and other infrastructure?
No, we did give her approval to use the site and to rough in trails and maintain those trails. But, I mean, porta potties are kind of a must-have now.
No, I have no problem with that. I'm just trying to figure out what. I know she has an ongoing problem with people going up there and
Yeah.
vandalizing the
Yeah,
track and
that's
whatnot,
right.
and I'm just,
She's kind of worked through that. She's,
it happened again the other day.
oh, did
Somebody
it?
took
Yeah,
her
there's
truck
been a
and-
reason.
Oh, okay, that's too bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, like, just wondering about the whole tailings, like, should we not be looking at a bigger plan and
A better place.
multi-use and
Yeah.
proper facilities and everything else if we're gonna start having, you know, a porta potty up there that's, not supervised or not attached to anything, and
So what I've seen is, it's been kind of a hidden jewel that not many people have known about. And since the dog sledders have come into play, they've actually started maintaining it, maintaining the road and whatever, making it a little bit more accessible, it's more visible. And so now the use has gone up. And so you're probably right, that now we probably need to step in and take more of a management role of it.
And they have been doing a lot of the cleanup.
Yeah.
There's a lot of littering up there that they
No question,
take
yeah.
care of.
so what about giving her $2,000? That should cover the porta potty for the year, and then maybe help her with some cleanup, and then we should look at, I would like, maybe we should send it back to staff for a recommendation on looking at what are we gonna do up there, because if it's gonna get busier and busier, then we're gonna have other issues up there too with garbage and whatnot, so it should be done properly, not just,
Like split it up almost, like you have the,
this is your area, and
Yeah.
see what we can and can't do with the ALR issue and stuff up there, so.
Sure.
I'll make
Because
that
the
motion
ALR lands is a bit farther
Yeah.
right now.
to refer to staff to look into.
let Carrie figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
So 2,000, and then we'll refer the rest of staff.
Well, do we need to do just a separate motion right there, just to refer to staff to look into?
We can put it as all part of the,
What did they
Okay.
ask for, 10 or 5? Oh, yeah.
Two.
okay. We can do Halloween, so that leaves the last one, and that's Vermilion Artist Collective, who's trying to do a concert. It's a big concert.
It's a music festival.
Yeah.
Did we have, what was the last year?
This is a different music festival. We generally gauge the traditional music festival, $3,000, some change.
I'm sorry, but was part of that in kind?
Oh, we didn't even count the in-kind. There was probably,
That was the music.
there's probably close to 5,000 or more in in-kind. Through the, yeah,
No.
yeah.
But the funding that we did wasn't a direct funding either. We wait for invoices to come in and we pay for
Right.
the music system.
Correct.
Up to, I think last time it was 3,000, sometimes it's 3,500. It changed throughout the years. But this is a different group
Mhm.
and a different organization.
So somewhere in here is what they intend to spend it on?
Yep. So,
Man, this is,
so she's looking at,
They're gonna make 16,000, it's gonna cost them
Yeah.
23,000.
Yeah, page 41.
yeah, she's expecting, yeah. So they got 2 headliners and 21 supporting bands. Sound and, is that how I read that? Professional fees, bands,
Yeah.
2 headliners and 21 supporting, and then sound engineers, a photographer, some equipment, supplies, advertising. $17,000 in bands. It's a big concert.
Hmm?
It's a big show
Where are they doing this?
all over town.
And when? In July.
It's a festival. She's asking for $8,500.
Did we do the math? What have we left with right now?
Oh, I can do that.
So we were
Or I
at
wanna do that.
75, I think. 75.
75 left.
No, 75 is what our cost is, and there's 17, so there's 10.
Plus 5. Let's
Yeah,
leave this 5.
there's still-
So we got 10.
I just bring up the fact that, on the application, there is no society number.
I was just gonna say, who is it?
She's in the works on that. It's a different process, because they're a collective, not a, she explained it, I don't understand it. It's recognized under the art council and all that kind of stuff, so.
So they
you gonna do?
Will this be allowed to happen for sure, the way restriction stuff, if it doesn't?
Restrictions start lifting tomorrow, isn't it? Sounds like
I
it.
can't predict the future.
But they said restrictions are supposed to start lifting tomorrow, I think, so
On Tuesday,
Tuesday? Oh, next week.
after the Family Day weekend.
Oh, after the weekend.
Yeah.
Of course, after the weekend.
Yes.
Councilor McLean?
The one part in there, a big chunk of it is the 5,000 for fireworks.
No, that's separate.
That's a separate one.
Excuse me?
That's separate. That's the next one.
Yeah, that's the other one.
That's the next, that's
So
the one,
good.
that's the one we moved.
It's the other application, the final application.
Well, I was trying to find what they want 8,500 for.
Yes.
Page 41,
Pardon me?
page 41.
I think it's to pay for the bands. By the looks of it, yeah.
And we would, sorry,
Yeah, go ahead.
we would pay for the sound engineer for the traditional music festival, about on average 3,500.
Yeah. Plus, we give them, we supply the chairs,
Yeah.
the labor for that,
Tents.
the tents, the labor for that, the washroom facilities, the
Road
labor.
closures.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. There's a few $1,000s. We worked it out one time. I think it was close to $5,000 in in-kind.
So that would be 8,500 in total if it
Close.
was 5,000 in kind. And because I imagine that the request would be similar to use the downtown
Well, I think
core.
they're
and-
gonna use like the Legion and,
I said Franny's Coffee, I said.
yeah, they're gonna be spread all over town. I'm cool with 5.
Plus in kind?
We'll do the, whatever, road closures and, I don't think they're doing it on the street though. I think it's all, they might wanna use like the gazebo and then some other locations, but. We could do that.
Like the same thing in kind, like help them out with,
Yeah. Do 5 plus in kind.
and give them how much?
I mean,
seed money?
bringing another festival to town is,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna help for sure, I think.
especially when we're trying to recover economically.
Okay. So, yeah. That's 12,500. That'd be 12,500.
Total? So 12,000. I like that number. That gives us some money for later. What do you think?
Well, I'm trying to get the gist of it. This is for,
To help pay for the, no, just help to pay for the concert altogether.
this is FOUR people who started out,
Oh.
or artists who started out in their forming this
Yeah.
thing to try and get a festival going.
Yep.
Yes.
Subject to them becoming a registered society still too, because that's part of our grant and aid requirement.
Festivals other than the one we have, the music festival, are usually private enterprises.
Some.
We have American Music Festival and all these
Yeah.
others are usually private.
Yeah, we don't,
The only one that I know is different, of course, is ours here
and that one's gone. They folded last year.
forever.
That's what they said.
It was a lot of work.
With COVID, they just couldn't pull it off, so.
Yeah, I thought they just canceled it last year.
No, they said they were done.
Yeah, why don't we look in the same thing if they need help with other in-kind stuff? And then, yeah, I'd give them 5, I think, if they can pull it off, I think it's good for town. Bring people in.
And there's also like a car show that weekend and stuff, or maybe there's a car show that weekend, but there's supposed to be a car show that weekend and stuff, so there should be a lot of people in town. It should be,
Yeah.
should be a good show.
So what amount did you have?
I said 5,000.
5. Okay.
Well, if the other one is canceled, it's gonna be horrible.
What?
If the other festival is canceled, it's gonna be horrible. That was such a super thing for the town to beautifying everything, this, that festival fit right in with all that, it's just
Yeah.
brought it all out. So if we can get something else to take that place, then I don't have an argument with what you're talking about.
Is that the same weekend as they used to do that, or no?
No, this is Canada Day weekend.
Yeah, and there's really wasn't a lot on Canada Day, was there last year? Like, you know, you used to be,
Last year, nothing,
yeah,
because we couldn't,
I guess.
we
they
couldn't meet
shut
last
down,
year.
but-
Not gonna let it get away with that, are we?
Well, with COVID, there was really nothing.
There was not
What
much
else
there.
could you do, yeah?
Okay,
Yeah.
so we have,
I was sticking up for you.
Sorry.
so we have pickleball at 0, right? With a,
3.5,
We'll refer to staff.
2 and 2, and you mentioned 5,
Did we settle on the lacrosse?
3 and,
12
3?
so far.
3.5,
35.
I think was what we settled on.
Yeah, 35.
12.5,
It's too nice. 5.
So we still have 6 left? Five left?
$5,246.
Is that all we got, was the 6 requests?
There might, we may still get some true.
But we did when we sent out all those application, or those requests to come to council, they were told about applying at that time too, so maybe not. But we should keep some money in the,
Yeah, we had a late one in last year, didn't we?
I'm trying to remember what one it was.
Yeah.
okay, do you have all the numbers right now?
I do, I will repeat them to you. Pickleball at nil, I have lacrosse at 3,500, mixed low pitch at 2,000, and refer to staff for pickleball coordinating.
Right.
I have the Princeton Sled Dog Association at $2,000, Vermilion Artists Collective at 5,000, and Halloween Family Fun Night, I have a motion from council to move it to a line item and to review with the budget annually for a total cost of $12,500.
Are we missing anything? Okay, can I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Council Gould's making a motion, seconded by Councillor Elliott. Any further discussion? Call the question, all in favor? Carried, thank you. James, you can come back.
He's probably had a nap.
No, he said he was gonna sit out there.
He's really.
It's okay. All right. Where's my agenda? There it is.
That should be it.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Elliott. Seconder, Councillor McLean. All in favor? Carried. Thank you.